What's up everybody, it's Ryan here from The Y, and today I'm bringing you part 2 of 50 facts you didn't know about The Office. If you haven't seen part 1, the link will be in the description, and as I explained in the first video, all of these facts come from this amazing book written by Andy Green. It's literally a goldmine if you're an Office fanatic like I am. Okay, I'll stop wasting your time now. Let's get into it.
Well, they do. They notice it, don't you? You notice it. It's the first thing you saw when he rolled in here, isn't it?
Ken Whittingham, a director on The Office, recounted that halfway through season 1, John Krasinski pulled him aside and asked if there were any openings on Scrubs, another show he was working on. The cast were making barely any money at all, and with only 6 episodes scheduled for the first season, none of them knew if the show was actually going to be successful.
It looks like there's going to be downsizing, and it's part of my job, but blech.
During season 1, Jason Kessler's job was to deliver the scripts to everyone around town. An uneventful job, but one memory in particular stood out to him. He was going to West Hollywood to drop off a script to John Krasinski, who was in his apartment with a friend, just hanging out playing video games. When Jason arrived, John invited him in to chill and play games with them for a while, and that stuck with him. Normally, he'd just drop the script off at the door, or sometimes he'd knock and they both say hello, but John was the only person who invited him in. One of the big issues they ran into early on in season 1 was not having enough time in the episodes. For instance, in healthcare, there's a long awkward pause when Michael doesn't actually have a surprise for everyone and is just stalling for time. Ken Whittingham thought the uncomfortable silence really added a lot to the scene, but when he looked at the runtime of the first cut, it was 10 minutes over the 21 of allotted time. Thankfully, they left in that scene from healthcare, but it does make you wonder how much good stuff was cut because of a lack of time. Rainn Wilson was a huge influence on Dwight's personality and habits very early on in season 1. Specifically, in the episode Healthcare, Rainn wanted to be a little more intense and a lot more OCD and self-righteous. This was in stark contrast to Dwight's UK counterpart Gareth, who came off as much more laid back and unaware.
All part of the job, what's going on?
Put my stapler inside the jelly again. That's the 3rd time he's done it. It wasn't even funny the first time.
Why has he done that?
Damn it! Damn!
Okay, hold on. Judge is in session. What is the problem here?
He put my stuff in Jell-O again.
Many of the cast members came to work that first season not knowing if they'd have a job the next week. But for John Krasinski and the others, it didn't matter all too much. He remembers saying, "Is there any way I can get a DVD of this to my mom? Because this is definitely the best thing I've ever done." So for us, it was like we were in the best regional theater group in the world. We just thought no one was necessarily paying attention, but we were having a blast. At the end of season 1, Oscar and Kate Flannery both quit their jobs. The manager where Kate worked at jealously told her, "You'll be back." Of course, the man was never more wrong about anything in his life, but the outlook at that time was admittedly not very good numbers-wise. The pilot started out strong, getting around 11 million viewers, but then the numbers dropped, and by the end of the season, they fell to right below 5 million views an episode. One of the major backers of The Office, and the person largely responsible for keeping the show afloat from seasons 1 to 2, was NBC president Kevin Riley. He remembers how NBC used to have a screening process where all the executives from the company came into a room and gave their opinion. And it was a resounding no. None of them liked it, even a bit. Then, later in the week, they had another screening process. Only this time, it was full of assistants, interns, and younger executives. The response was the exact opposite. They absolutely loved it, and even said it was the only show you're making that we'd actually watch. At that point, Kevin Riley knew he had something special, so he made the show happen.
You should have put him in custody.
Oh, hey, yes, new guy!
The Office may have been canceled if not for My Name is Earl. The show was only in its first season, while The Office was starting its second, but My Name is Earl was the biggest comedy premiere NBC had had in years, and The Office was slotted right after it. Many of the cast members were actually on MySpace during the filming of season 2, and even chatted with fans at their desk while in the background of shots. Right around the start of season 2, iTunes began selling TV shows for the first time on their store. Jeff Zucker, the CEO of NBC, had a problem with how they were doing business and didn't want The Office on Apple Store. This prompted Steve Jobs to make a phone call to then CEO of GE, Jeff Immelt, aka Zucker's boss, and the deal was eventually closed. Probably the biggest change they made regarding season 2 was the personality of Michael Scott. The writers knew he came off as very unlikable in the first season, and they needed a way to fix that trait about him. Ricky Gervais in the original show had been the same way, a pretty terrible human being, going to any lengths just to get attention.
Just want to be popular as the new boss. Oh, love me. Pathetic.
But what had worked brilliantly for the UK version just wouldn't sit with the US audience the same way. Instead, the character of Michael Scott had to be softened. They needed to change him from being an asshole to someone a little more pathetic and just coming from a place of wanting love.
Trick or treat!
Hey, how you doing?
Even Michael Scott's new hairstyle in season 2 was a way to temper him down. Kim Ferry, the hairdresser, explained how she and Steve both agreed that his hair slicked back like Gordon Gekko was too aggressive. So she decided to add some height and volume, and that was how he got his new, hopefully more likable hairstyle. Michael Scott's newfound vulnerability is first briefly shown in the Dundies, and then becomes very apparent 2 episodes later in Office Olympics. The producers made Scott less blatantly mean in the Dundies, and the heckling he endures at Chili's, which leaves him wanting to end the show early, really humanized his character in a certain way.
I had a few more Dundies to give out tonight, but I'm just gonna cut it short and wrap it up so everybody can enjoy their food.
2 episodes later, this trait is expounded upon, as the entire episode is basically him freaking out over buying a condo. He pulls the burner off the stove and has a panic attack outside, all of which showed us a sensitive side that wasn't present before.
The ceilings are lower than they were last week. That I don't know if you showed me this same.
The second season showed what the show was really about. The Office is in actuality a romantic comedy disguised as a workplace comedy. This theme is pretty straightforward when you look at Jim and Pam's story, but the same is also true for Michael Scott. He requires love, and the people who work for him are, in his eyes, no different from family. Gene Stupnitsky, a writer for The Office, detailed how the writers would obsess over little moments between Jim and Pam for hours on end. Whether it was a glance up or an across-the-room look, it was insane how much time they would debate the smallest of things.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you guys gonna do?
Andy Buckley, who plays David Wallace, was actually not acting at all when he got picked up for the show. One random day, he met Allison Jones at a farmer's market and told her that he was an advisor to Merrill Lynch and was married with a son. He gave her his card, with the stipulation that if anything came up, he couldn't leave town to act. A couple months later, she called him up and Buckley got the job.
Baseball gloves, hacky sacks, drumsticks. Nah.
Since The Office was supposed to be a quasi-reality show, they didn't want to make a fake-sounding restaurant like TGI Wednesdays.
Man, TGI Wednesday.
Instead, they rented out a failed Black Angus and remodeled it into a Chili's restaurant look-alike, with the help of some of the higher-ups at Chili's. The one problem with making a Chili's look-alike and filming in it was that Chili's hadn't read the script. So, when they discovered that a part of the episode included a drunk woman vomiting and another character running through the restaurant yelling, "A woman has vomited," they were not pleased with how their restaurant was going to be portrayed on TV. The whole show had to shut down production for a couple of days as lawyers tried to work out a deal with Chili's to get their approval, which was a real road bump for the cast and crew. The issue with Chili's was actually resolved by Steve Carell, possibly due to his longtime work as an improv teacher. His suggestion was to have the manager come out and address the situation by saying that Pam had taken drinks from other customers, and Chili's approved the idea.
And she is not welcome at this restaurant chain ever again.
When Jenna Fisher first got the script for the Dundies, she got extremely nervous as she didn't remember what it was like to be drunk. BJ Novak told her to go out one night and get drunk for research, so that's what she did. She brought Novak along with her so she wouldn't have to drive, and after every drink, he'd ask her a bunch of questions relating to her level of drunkenness and how she felt. It only took 4 drinks, and at the end of the night, the research was complete. She said, when you're drunk, you laugh at stupid things, talk closer to people, get touchy, and basically act like a more obnoxious and unbalanced version of yourself. You lose control a little. So that's what I did with Pam.
Oh my God! I just want to say that this was the best Dundies ever!
The Injury was Mindy Kaling's favorite episode that she's ever written. According to her, the original idea was that Michael Scott had fallen asleep in the sun and put sunblock on his entire body except for his foot, which ends up being sunburned badly. Also, the name of the episode was going to be My Grilled Foot, until they all decided that people might not want to tune in to an episode with that weird of a name. One of the greatest scenes in the entire show has to be Dwight crashing into a pole, resulting in a concussion, and him vomiting all over his car. Split pea soup was used for the fake throw-up, and unfortunately, Rainn Wilson had to spit it up again and again for the right take. Jen Salota, a producer on The Office, said this took place at 6 in the morning and was certain that on one of the takes he actually threw up a little bit. And that was the take they used. Casino Night was the first of many supersized episodes that NBC let the producers air, and also the first episode that Steve Carell wrote. The extra 6 minutes allowed the episode to breathe a little bit, with extra room for pauses, which was essential because of the fact that Casino Night had so many dramatic moments.
I'm sorry I misinterpreted our friendship.
A large portion of time in Casino Night was dedicated to dressing each of the cast members in clothing that would suit their character. This fact was especially true when it came to Pam, so much so that the night before filming, they still didn't have a dress picked out for her. They ended up sending out 2 shoppers right before the stores closed, and one of them came back with the iconic blue dress from David's Bridal. The famous kiss in The Office was one of the most scrutinized scenes they had ever filmed because they wanted the moment to be absolutely perfect. Everything was meticulously planned, from the lights being mostly off because the party was going on downstairs, to even the camera placement in the adjoining room to make the moment feel like more of a surprise and all the more real. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new about the show. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and let me know if you want more videos on The Office, because I can definitely do that. I'm still deciding what my next video is going to be. It may be on The Witcher, since I've been watching that and also simultaneously playing The Wild Hunt. It's been great, but we will see, because Season 2 is coming out soon, so I may wait for that to release. Alright, till next time everyone, peace.